Hi, welcome back to the R and RStudio Basics series. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to import data into R and RStudio. So this is an outline of today's video. First of all, we will talk about some base R functions, and then an R package, readr, which contains some very useful functions, and then some other packages available to us in R and RStudio. Then we will learn how to use the Importing Data tab in RStudio. And lastly, we will learn how to export data from R. So this is an outline of base R functions. And read.table function is the very basic function in base R. And it is very flexible. Actually, it can be used to import almost any type of data set. Okay, so this is the basic syntax. I only listed a few arguments, but actually there are many more arguments in read.table. And because it is too flexible, sometimes you have to specify those arguments specifically. So R provides some variants of read.table. In particular, these three are very commonly used. All right, let's see some examples. Okay. Suppose I want to import a data set with extension .txt, okay, a text file. And how to do it? The data set is stored here in this folder. Okay, it's called logging. Okay, it's a text file with white space as a separator. Before we start to import it, let's set the working directory. So that will help us to find the correct location. And from there, we know how to specify the directory correctly and also easily in a simple way. In RStudio, it's very easy to set the working directory. Okay, so for example, in this panel, then starting from the drive, I gradually find the folder I'm going to work with. And suppose I want to use this one as the working directory, I can just click this more, okay, and then click this set as working directory. Okay. Then you see directly there is a line of code shown in our console. That means this is my current working directory. Okay, and starting from here, I can omit all of this when I specify a directory or a path. I can omit all of them. Okay, starting from here. Suppose I want to import a data set from this folder, logging. So how to do it? Instead of typing the code in the R console directly, I created a script so that I can save the code for future usage. So this is a new R script I just created. So first, import data using base R functions. Okay, and the very first example is I want to import the logging data. Okay, logging using read.table function. Okay. So since my current working directory is here, I don't need to specify this whole thing anymore. I only need to type data/logging, okay, .txt. Okay. And then if you open the data set, you see that the first row actually contains the column names. Okay. So in this case, I need to specify header equals true. Okay. Because by default, read.table set header equals false. Okay. Then I can highlight it and run this line. Okay. You see it is available to us. Notice that after I use the read.table function to read in the data set and save it in logging, it seems that nothing happened. In order to view the data set, you have to type the name of it. Okay. So you see, okay. Or you can use the head function to show the first 6 rows by default. Or for example, I just want to show 3 rows. Okay, then just these 3 rows, right? Or I can use a function called str show the structure of the data set. Okay, so this is a very good way to have an overview of a data set if the data set is very large. Okay, so this is the very first example. And we can also use read.table function to read in CSV files. Okay, for example, the Titanic data set, okay, is a CSV file. Okay, CSV file. We can do the following. Okay. So make sure you put everything, the path and the dataset name in quotes, okay, always. Okay. And then header equals true again. Okay. And this time you need to specify the separator, the delimiter. In this case, it is comma. Notice that for the first one, there's nothing that happens because by default, the separator is space. And then we can, for example, also see a few rows of it. Okay, let me first clear the console, okay, and then run this line of code. Okay. So see, we have successfully imported the data set, Titanic, okay, and there are 7 variables. So this is CSV file. And so the separator is comma. Okay. And sometimes the separator is tab. In this case, we can also use read.table function. Okay. So for example, in my data folder, there is a data set called human. So this one is also a text document, but the delimiter is tab. Okay, in this case, let's read it again. Okay, human read.table, okay, data human.txt, okay, and specify the separator. In this time is tab. Okay, we use /t to denote tab, and again header equals true. Okay, and then we can see the structure of it or the first few rows. Okay, we can also use the view function in RStudio. The view function will show you the entire data set in spreadsheet form. Okay, so let's see this one. If I run this, okay, you see immediately in this panel, a spreadsheet will be shown for you. The entire data set will be illustrated here. Okay, so it is very inconvenient too. All right, so this is how to use read.table function. And for CSV files, of course, we can use the read.csv function. Okay, as I said, read.csv is a variant for read.table. It is used for CSV files in particular, okay, so that you don't need to specify a lot of arguments anymore. So there are some default values for CSV files. So let's see how to read the Titanic dataset using read.csv. Okay. So now let's give it a new name, Titanic 2. Okay. Okay. So now you see, since there is a header, okay, the first row contains column names, and by default, for read.csv, header equals true, okay, and the separator is comma. Okay, so you don't need to specify these 2 arguments anymore. If you use read.csv, we can now let's use structure function. Okay, to see the structure of it. Okay, let me clean this part and run these 2 rows. So we successfully imported Titanic using read.csv, and you see there are some basic information about Titanic 2. Okay, printed out in the R console. Okay, 1313 observations, 7 variables, and for each variable, the type of the variable and the first few values of that column are shown in the R console. Okay, so read.csv. And then human is a tab-delimited data set, right? In R, we can also use the read.delim function to read tab-separated data set. Okay, so let's try this for human again. Okay, remember human is tab-separated. Okay, let's see human 2. Okay, create a new data set called human 2, read.delim, and specify the data set. Okay. Then nothing else is needed. Okay. So let's see, only show the first 2 rows of it. Okay. I run it. Okay. So if the dataset is tab-delimited and we use the read.delim function, then we don't need to specify any other arguments. Okay, so we can omit these 2 arguments. Alright, so that's all for importing data using base R functions. So see all of these functions. And there is a package called readr, and it is a very good package which contains some very efficient functions that we can use to import data. So they are kind of parallel to those functions in base R. Okay, so for example, read_csv is used to read in comma-separated files, and read_tsv is for tab-separated data, and read_delim is used to import delimiters that are different from comma and tab. Okay, some other special cases. Okay, and some other things. Okay, so let's use this package now. Okay. Okay, so let's first try read_csv. Okay, Titanic is an CSV file, right? So let's do the following. And first we need to load the package. Okay, readr. And then let's use the function in readr. Okay, so still Titanic. Now I call it Titanic 3. Okay. _CSV. Okay, so in base R it's called read.csv. In readr package it's called read_csv. And then again, the first argument is the file, okay, the directory to the file. Okay, so we can still say data/titanic.csv. Okay, and then we're done. Okay, make sure you highlight this too. Okay, we need to run this loading package line too. Okay, so see, and remember there is a read_tsv function, which is used to import tab-sep files. Okay, remember human is tab-separated. Okay. TSV. Okay. And then we're done. Okay. Let's view it again. Okay. In RStudio. So see the data set has been imported correctly. You can also, for example, see the structure of it. The structure of it is pretty simple. So the delimiter is tab, okay, and structure is, it has 2 variables, okay, both numeric, and it listed a few values for each variable. And we can also use read_delim function to read in tab-delimited data set. Let's try it. Yeah, but for this function, you need to specify the delimiter. And make sure that you use the delim argument. Okay, so in readr, the argument that we use to specify the delimiter is delim argument. Okay, not SEP anymore. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so it's correct. All right, that's all for readr package. And certainly there are some other functions available for us, but we don't have to exercise all of them. You can try them by yourselves. Why do we need to use readr functions instead of baseR functions? So compared to the corresponding base functions, readr functions are generally much faster, okay? Up to 10 to 100 times faster than baseR function, depending on the data set. And also, readr functions leave strings as it by default and automatically parse common date time formats. And also, readr functions have a very helpful progress bar if loading is going to take a while. All right, let's move on. So notice that we haven't talked about how to import Excel files yet. So it turns out that we cannot use baseR functions or functions in readr to read in Excel files directly. Okay. So there are two packages, read.xl or xlsx. Okay, so they are quite similar in terms of syntax. So we will now skip it because we can also import Excel files from the importing data set tab in RStudio directly. And then we can see how the code looks like. We can also read SAS datasets into R. Okay. So since I haven't used this function yet, I will not show you an example for this case. But later on, I may create a separate video about reading SAS dataset into R. Okay. Now, next one, importing dataset tab in RStudio. Okay. It's actually pretty convenient to do so if you are a beginner. Let's see how to do it. So this is the environment tab. Okay, environment tab. It shows you the data sets that have been loaded already. Okay, so let me first clear all of these, okay, to make it clear. Okay, so notice that there is an import dataset button here. So you can use it to import different types of data using different functions. For example, from text data, you can use baseR functions or readr package functions. And also you can read in Excel files. Okay. So for example, let me use readr function to read in logging, okay, logging data set. Okay. And pay attention, there are a few things you need to modify probably. Okay. For example, by default, the delimiter is comma, but we know that the logging data set has a different delimiter. Okay. It should be white space. And after you change it, RStudio automatically reload the data. Okay. So now this is the correct way, okay, which is good. Okay. And now we're done. Okay. And instead of click import button, we can actually copy the code by clicking here, copy the code, okay, and click cancel, and then paste it here. Okay, paste it here. Okay. So usually I recommend you to save your code in an R script. If you just directly click import, then the code will be run and it will be shown in R console, but the code will not be saved. Okay, so I suggest you to copy the code and save it here. Okay, but still, this is not run yet. Okay, you need to run it to see. Okay, so automatically it will view the data. You certainly can use head or str function too. Okay, so this is how to read in a data set using import dataset tab. Okay, and similarly you can read in, for example, as CSV file. Okay, Titanic, right? Click open. Okay. And since the delimiter is comma, Okay, the data has been read in correctly, okay, in the correct form. However, notice that some categorical variables are character variables coded as characters. For example, passenger class and sex. Home destination is character, that's fine. Okay, and embarked is a character too. Okay. So suppose I want to change the type of column. I can just click this arrow and then change the type I want. Usually for this kind of categorical variable, I want to use a factor variable. And then I'll ask you to list the levels of that factor. Okay, so unique values for that factor. And since I'm pretty familiar with this data set, I can just directly list it. So first, second, and third. Okay, there are 3 classes in the Titanic data set. And click OK. And you see this column is a factor variable now. Okay, similarly for sex, also a factor. Okay, female, male, and then it's a factor. Okay, and also survival. Okay, same thing. Yes or no. Okay, 2 levels. Okay, notice that it's a comma-separated list of factors. Okay. All right. So again, instead of click this import button, I will copy the code, okay, and cancel, and then paste the code here, so that all of the code that I used will be pasted here. Okay. Of course, you probably need to add it a little bit because it looks very weird, okay, by default. Okay. Basically, there are too many unnecessary space by default. Okay. And yeah, and by default, it will view the data set. Okay, we definitely don't have to do it, okay, because the Titanic is a quite large data set. We can just see a few lines of it. Okay, and then just run it. Okay. Yeah, by default, it will load the package again, but definitely we don't need to actually. Okay, we have loaded already in the script. Okay. All right. Then remember Excel. Okay, we haven't talked about how to import Excel files yet. Okay. So let's see. The students is an Excel file which has 2 sheets, right? And automatically it will by default import the first sheet. Okay, info 1. Okay, so this is a default info 1. Okay. And you see that you can actually specify the range of cells that contain the data. Okay, but for this one we don't have to because there is no metadata in front of it or below the data values. However, there is a asterisk here. Okay, so this one is used to denote missing value, but we probably want to use the R notation for missing value. So you can specify here so that when R import the sheets, okay, it will automatically change asterisk to an A for you. Okay, so you see after I type this one, automatically there is a argument specified in the code. Okay, so NA equals asterisk. Okay, and we can get rid of this view. Oh, we don't. Okay, not sorry. So copy it, okay, and cancel. Then we can. So now we are actually importing. Okay, so you see, by default, RStudio uses this package, read.xl, and the function that is used is read_xl. Okay, and this is the data. This is the sheets. Okay, so we chose the first one, and then the missing value is asterisk. Okay, and let's see. Oh, by the way, let's give a sheet name. Okay, so that we will not be confused. Okay, so run all of these, and yes, the data set has been imported correctly. Okay, so now what about the second sheet in students? Suppose I want to import a second sheet. Then click browse and then find the data set, students. And then make sure you choose the second sheet, info 2. And then you have two options. Remember, in the data set, there are two rows. The first row is academic performance. The second row is empty. Okay, you see, let's see, take a look at it again. Okay. You see, the first two rows are not data. Okay. So there are two options. Either use set skip equals 2. Okay, so skip 2 rows. Okay. Or you can specify the range of cells that contain the data. So from A3 to C8. Okay, and make sure before you import an Excel file, you close it. Okay, so let's see. So let's try to use the range. Okay, so A3 to D8. That D8, C8. Okay, C8. Okay. And then, so for now, let's just, yeah, it's correct. You see data preview is correct, right? And we can also do the following. So get rid of the range thing and skip equals 2. So immediately you see the code shows you here. Okay, skip equals 2. You also can import the data correctly in this way. Okay, and then you copy the code and cancel and save it here. Okay, and get rid of this. It's already done. And add the sheet title. Okay, the data set is very small, so we can directly view everything. Okay, so now it's imported correctly. And of course, you can change the column type to factor if you like. Okay, for example, ID or name. Okay. But for this one, it's not that necessary, okay, because they are not categorical variables, they are label variables. All right, that's how to use the importing dataset tab. Is very convenient for beginners, and just make sure that you save the code. And how to export data from R. In readr, there are two functions. write_csv is used to write CSV file, and write_xl and _csv is used to write XL file. So now let's see how to write a CSV file. Okay. So first load the library. Of course, we have done so previously. We don't have to do it in this R script, but I just want to emphasize that the write_csv function is in this package. Okay, so just directly call this function. Okay, then specify the data set you want to write. So for example, I just want to write students info 1. Okay, and then specify the path. Okay, the physical location that you want to write that CSV file in. Okay. So since my current working directory is here, I can omit the previous part of the directory. Okay, just starting from data first. I want to write it in this folder again. Okay. Okay, and then it's done. Okay, just run this code. Okay. It seems that nothing happened because the dataset is just written in that folder. Let's check. Okay. So see, students info is here. Oh, I forgot to add this. Okay, so let me write it again. Okay, so see, students info.csv has been written here. Okay. Similarly, we can also write the second sheet. Okay, using so write this data set. So this one is the R object. Okay, we read in, and then this is the one that we will write. Okay, so let's do this and pay attention to this window when I click run. Okay, so we'll see this new data set has been created. Okay. Similarly, we can write an Excel file using read.xlsx function. Okay. So let's see how to write Excel files. Okay. So let me slightly modify my code. So now let's do it. Let's add Excel here. Excel here. And then change the extension to change it to Excel. Okay. And then you see we have exported to Excel files. Okay. All right. So this is a recap of all of the functions we have talked about, and you can also search online to find more details about those functions. And these are references. I will put these links in the description of the video, so feel free to check them to see each article or ebook so you can see more information about importing data. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope this video is helpful for you. See you next time.